Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Pigeon Talk Podcast, special edition Pigeon Laughs Short Comedy Film Festival. My guest today is Yorkshire-born filmmaker Taylor Caddick. Taylor is an award-winning narrative writer and director. Recent works include drama comic works such as The Bloke in the Boot, Wetsuit, and sketch show What You Like. Today we'll be talking about his short comedy drama The Bloke in the Boot and his influences in filmmaking and comedy, whilst also looking at how Taylor found inspiration in traumatic situations to create this very funny and twisted short. You can see The Bloke in the Boot at the semi-finalist screening of Pigeon Laughs Festival, and I am very excited for people to see Taylor's work. Taylor is an absolute sound guy, and I very much enjoyed talking to him. Enjoy.
I'm afraid you failed your driving exam on that particular occasion.
You wouldn't have a spade, would you?
Let me just run through some of the points that you failed on, starting with...
Do you know who I am? I'm a cyclist
I
doing a
don't
bloody
fucking care.
game.
Was that carbon fibre helmet? Was that carbon free, you dick?
Yes, we are recording. Hi, Taylor. How you doing?
I'm very, very good. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm feeling really excited. I'm honored to be a part of your festival, and I'm looking forward to hopefully attending, which is going to be really cool.
Yes. Well, absolutely. I wanted to first give you congratulations on the best way that I can use, best way to describe The Bloke in a Boot, it is first and foremost such a well accomplished short film. I think, it goes without saying, but it's got some really nice cinematography. Your chemistry between the first two your main characters is very well established, and they drive the whole short from top to end. And it's just like a really nice short, like simple, get to the point. You understand from the first second or first minute, I would say, like, what is it about? And I think you've done a really good job, mate.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's really good to hear. I mean, the worst thing is I think, especially for a comedy as well, is to hear that hopefully people also laugh and find some humor in it. And I'm glad that you pointed out the two lead actors, because I mean, they're brilliant. And I've
Yeah.
continued to work with them ever since, and I've sort of been like, you're mine now, and you're not allowed to go anywhere else. So that's been a really nice thing as well.
Awesome. Before we dive into The Bloke in the Boot, I wanted to ask you if, like, do you have any sort of formal education with regards to filmmaking? Did you go to university, film school? What's your sort of story?
Yeah, I mean, we technically didn't brand this massively as our grad film, but it was our grad film. This was our graduation film at university. So The Bloke in the Boot, that's how it kind of came about, was we wanted to do this really massive, massive project to finish off. I think there was a lot of the kind of our peers were doing films that were just based around the local town, or, set in one house. And we were like, let's go to Wales and let's make the most mental film we possibly can. And I was kind of like just doing something. I kind of wrote it almost as a script of what's going to entertain me, but also what's going to make sure that every department has something really intriguing to do. And that's how it came about. So yeah, this was our graduation film. To answer that kind of short and sweet, is that was our final year film at university. Studied
Is it
in
University of Leeds, I assume?
No, actually. So I traveled down south for 3 years. I was studying at the University for the Creative Arts, which is in Surrey. No one's ever really heard of it, but it's in somewhere kind of in like this really small town, Surrey town. And
Is
yeah,
that,
studied
sorry,
there.
I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to the geography of the UK, even though I've lived here for like 7 years. But it's Surrey, like south, isn't it? You said.
Yeah, it's like the best way I can describe it was like 1 hour out of London. So it was,
Okay.
yeah,
No,
it was
south,
like,
right? South London.
yeah, like I'm gonna get this wrong now, but like west of London, so sort of like more towards Wales way anyway. Which is sort of how we kind of ended up filming over there.
I wanted to ask you, like, why choosing Wales?
Interestingly, so originally it was obviously the film is about two Northerners, and the reason why I wrote that as an entire thing was because being down south for 3 years, I kind of wanted to surround myself with Northern people again, and also almost sort of pay kind of a little bit of like homage to my people who I feel very passionate about. I think are great people, and there's a lot of love. So originally we thought of this idea was, well, where would these Northerners go to kind of hide a body? And originally it was Scotland, and I'm not even gonna try and lie and and create this really cool story, but it was just going to be an absolute nightmare to go to Scotland and financially sort of do that, especially from where we were based. So we kind of looked at what might be the next second best option, and we ended up going for Wales, which was an absolutely fantastic experience because I hadn't gone to Wales properly since I was like probably about 3, and I was like, we went on these 2 recce's and we just fell in love. So I have a lot of love for Wales now.
Oh, that's I think if I can sort of try and guess, I think you went for North Wales, didn't you?
No, South Wales actually, just below Brecon Beacons.
Is it like close to Hay-on-Wye?
I have no idea, but
I have
like
no
I'm
idea.
not gonna lie, I just kind of set the GPS and I was there, and I remember not really. It was like Merthyr. I'm gonna butcher
Yeah,
this, but
Merthyr
Merthyr.
Tydfil. Merthyr
That's
Tydfil.
the one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where. So
yeah.
we were staying there. So we kind
Oh,
of
wow.
yeah. So we were staying there, and then we were like it was like half an hour out from like most of our locations. We had a quite a nice little base, apart from when we went all the way down to like proper like the coast of like South Wales for like the final beach scene. But everything was just
Oh,
based on Merthyr
yes.
Tydfil.
The final scene, I think I recognize, isn't it? That's Bridgend, isn't it? Some kind of
The beach scene, right?
yeah, the beach scene right at the end.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna nod and agree. I'm so like I wasn't the producer for this, but my producer would probably be stabbing me right now and be telling me that I'm an absolute idiot. But if that makes sense geographically, then I'm gonna go, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that. Well, sort of how many people are we talking? 'Cause for it was a student film first and foremost, like you said. But how many people are we talking with regards to crew numbers? Sort of just to get an idea of what that student film production
Yeah,
entailed.
yeah. I think altogether, like including like cast, obviously there was like the odd like person that had come in for the day, but for the people that were there for the entire kind of, we had like a 3-day block in Wales where we were filming, and I think there was including cast, which were our 2 leads. I think it was about 12 or 13 people.
12 or 13 people. That's like yeah, that's decent, you know.
Hmm.
Um, you were talking something in the beginning. You telling going back to your roots and writing a story sort of based upon that. And you mentioned something in your director statement that you failed your driving test, and that was something that fueled your inspiration in a sense to write this short. So, how important is for you as a writer to use your sort of real life experiences? Because it feels like like the sensible thing to do, especially when you're starting out. But so much of that can bring, I think, as a writer myself, I find it like it just brings authenticity into your work, isn't it? So, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was brutal because I was reliving probably the most traumatic experience of my life. Not killing a driving examiner, but failing an exam.
We should try not
Uh,
not 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 to spoil, but yes,
oh yeah, well, yeah, yeah. But I mean, hopefully, if it's in the title, I feel
the
like we can
title
get away.
gives it away. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's straight to the point. But like I obviously failed my driving exam first
Mhm.
time. Like I passed it second time, so I've been driving for a few years now. But I just remember. I think most writers you want to write off basically trauma, or I feel like most of us kind of is rooted in that. And as someone that loves to write comedy, I kind of like to look at stuff where it's like almost like trauma, but it's almost this kind of trauma that's sort of you can have a little play around with and have some fun. So that was something that kind of stuck out to me, and I was like, you know what, let's just see how extreme we could get with something like that and how someone could get worked up. And yeah, it stemmed from that. And yeah, I don't know. I think maybe there's a little bit of me that was like, this is like an alternative reality where I was that angry that I failed my exam that I actually did this, and it was sort of a cathartic way of dealing
Yeah.
with this.
Mhm.
But yeah, a bit of an extreme way of doing it. But yeah, to be honest, obviously writing it as like a northerner about northerners, I think that just kind of came naturally. And for me as well, like I think being down south for 3 years, I think there's so many. I quite often, I don't know if you kind of surrounded yourself with like loads of people from different accents, and you'll find that kind of those very like regional accents that people would just like to imitate and they'll love to kind of play around with. And
Mhm.
quite often I'd be working with the same crews and I'd say something and they repeat it back to me in like the most god awful northern accent they've ever heard in their life. But they'd
Yes.
be laughing their way away, and I thought, oh well, maybe there's something in that. Maybe the northern accent is quite funny to people. And so I was like, let's just see, and then as I started writing this, I was like, well, actually, it only makes sense that they are Northern. I feel like you can get the best line delivery sometimes, and when you're writing in how your hometown speaks, I think that's sometimes the easiest way to write as well.
Yeah. It's as someone who also failed their first driving test, I know how like gut-wrenching that feels, and you feel like your world is falling apart or something. It's like it's awkward. And then like when you talk to people, they always like, yeah, I also failed my first driving exam. I think it's a wonderful thing, to use those like quote unquote traumas, in life, or frustrations, that and then you use that to fuel your creativity. That's amazing. Another question that I wanted to ask you, as a comedy filmmaker yourself, what are your references in comedy, I suppose, well, in the filmmaking?
Good question. I think that's like a dreaded question, isn't it?
You talked about that you some kind of let me see if I get it right. Hobbies include quoting Alan Partridge. So I think that's a reference, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. So my dad was a massive kind of influence on me in terms of the programs I watched when I was younger, and he would often have a lot of these kind of British, not sitcoms, but like these kind of like, again, like the mockumentaries and stuff like The Office and The Thick of It and Alan Partridge. I mean, Alan Partridge is Alan Partridge. I don't need to go into that, but like they were such key inspirations, and I think they probably have this kind of key link that it's like cringe comedy. I love that, and I would quite often find myself in social situations where, and my mates will back me up on this, where I'll kind of almost enjoy making it as cringy as possible, because for me that's the best outcome. That's like this is like up here, I'm having a great time, and it's a fantastic. But when you talk about like almost inspirations, I guess. I mean, for this as well, it was probably more like that dry kind of stuff, especially because Northerners are quite dry anyway. So like a lot of
Yeah.
like dry comedy, for example, like I mean he's massive now, but Yorgos Lanthimos and stuff like that. I was often looking at his own work,
Oh
and he
yeah.
was actually part of my dissertation. I was like just analyzing his work and a lot
Oh
of dark
really?
comedy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved his work, and I mean, Poor Things is obviously brilliant, and
Oh yeah.
um,
And that's like my recent favorite movie. It's hard to pick one, but like that one, it's like literally one of the most fun I've had in a cinema in a long time.
That's it. I always find with his films, it's like you know what you're gonna get, but almost you go in and you feel, "Well, I wasn't expecting that at all." So you kind of like you know you're gonna go into watch something weird, but then you just don't you still can't predict what's gonna happen. And I love that about what he does, and just everything about the way he shoots them. Yeah, it's just fantastic. But his dialogue and the way he also tells a lot of his stories and whys, etc. That was probably quite a key influence for this. And then stuff like Limbo that came out a few years ago. That was great. So
Is Limbo
yeah, just
Yorgos as well?
no, it's I think it's like I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think it's like something Shepherd or something. It's
Uh,
a fantastic film. I'd recommend anybody to go watch it. But
okay.
it's so bleak but funny, and I guess it's those films that I more gravitate towards, especially because the North is quite a bleak and kind of we poke fun at ourselves kind of thing. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of the films that kind of inspired it as well.
Oh, that's yeah. That's That's fun. I just to kind of wrap it up here is really just closing in on bloke in the book in the boot. Do you have any? Because I suppose being in Wales for a while. How many days was the shoot in Wales again? You
It was
mentioned
3 days.
3 days. I mean, and you are like Merthyr Tydfil. You're going into Bridgend as we talk. Anything like funny? You're like in the middle of a field. There's sheeps everywhere. There's a scene. There's got to be something that goes kind of wrong, right?
Yeah, you can say that again. It was like we probably would speak about that first day on set, and it was our first day in Wales, and almost everything that could go wrong went wrong. And I know every film set says that, but like it did. Um, we had this really unfortunate issue where we were using the talent car. So the car was obviously this massive, crucial part of the film, almost like sort of a MacGuffin kind of in sorts. And our mode of transport for these two characters. And on our first day of shooting, we got a flat tire in the middle of nowhere on that car, and we were deserted. There was no signal. Like it was this kind of really long stretched road, which looked beautiful on camera, but like when it comes to practicalities, it was not ideal. So we were just kind of stuck there, and I remember like ringing. Luckily, I had breakdown, but I remember like ringing the breakdown person and kind of trying to get through, and the signal being absolutely shocking, and then the phone just being like hung up on. And I wasn't sure if they were going to come or not, and we were waiting there for like probably what felt like the longest hour we've ever like experienced as a crew, and we just saw around the bend this van coming. I was like, we've been saved. The entire film's gonna happen. Like it was, and literally, I had a spare tire, but all it came down to is we didn't have this specific screw to get the actual tire off, and it was absolute nightmare. So yeah, just stuff like that. I mean, everything went wrong that day. Like we went on the recce's and we thought, oh, this is going to be brilliant to bring the crew here. Wales is beautiful this time of year. Like it's going to be so sunny. Like people are going to have a great time. And on day one, it's just blasting it down. Like I've never seen rain like it. We're like, this is 4 cars full of people. I'm like, promise you, it's going to be nice one day. And we got nice weather on the third day, to be fair, when we were by the beach, which sort of worked in our favor for like I guess kind of the structure of the film and how we wanted it to look. So we got lucky. But I
Yeah.
mean, if you count running through muddy kind of grass for 2.5 days as a look, then yeah, sure.
Damn. Well, you managed to pull it off, and I'm very excited to showcase the bloke in the boot at Pigeon Laughs Festival. And well, listen, man, what are you working on? What's next for you?
I'm on the verge of like releasing something mega, which is really cool. I'm really excited to talk about it. It's basically we shot sort of at the back end of last year. We shot a sketch show, and we did that classic thing of like we have so many ideas that we want to start. Also that classic idea of like probably lads our age, and like we've all been guilty of it. We all kind of speak to our mates and go, oh, we should start a podcast. We decided to go one level up on that and go, we should start a sketch show. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, starting a podcast would have been way easier. But like we decided to do, right, we'll do a sketch show and it'll be whatever. And we just had all these daft ideas, and we shot 18 sketches at the back end of last year, and we're about to sort of start doing promo for that and start putting that out. We're really excited about it. Yeah, it's mental. And we borrowed some of the crew and some of the cast from Bloke in the Boot, so it was kind of a nice reunion of sorts for that. But yeah, that's on the verge of coming out, and I'm always writing. So yeah, fingers crossed, more sketches and more stupid, silly stories like this in the future.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Where can people find out about yourself? You got a website as well, Instagram. Do you want to plug that?
Yeah, of course. It's taylorcaddick.com is my website. Writer, director, and I also edit. And yeah, my Instagram, taylor.caddick. You can find me on there. I mean, just, have a browse, see if I'm to your cup of tea. And if I'm not, that's cool. That's cool. But if I am, drop me a message and let's work together.
Amazing, dude. Will the Bloke in the Boot be available out there in the open world if people are like keen to check it out?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're doing, weirdly enough, we sort of just kind of started this festival run. So we're kind of letting it kind of do its thing and run its course. And yeah, as soon as we kind of run out of steam with that and we, whatever, we'll be putting it out online. So most likely it'll be on Vimeo or whatever. So if you drop like me a follow on those platforms or keep an eye on the website, it'll be on there, I'm sure, very soon.
And that's it. That was my conversation with Taylor Caddick. Let me know you've thought of this conversation. Follow me on Instagram at Pigeon Talk Comedy. Pigeon Laughs Short Comedy Film Festival runs March 21st and 22nd at the University of South Wales. It's a fun time, and I shall see you there.